Want to hear your favorite Sir shows in CD quality and ad-free? Then sign up for Smodcast, a premium content archive launching in July. Membership has its perks, including access to ticketed events before anybody else. And if you pre-order Smodcast now, you'll get a kick-ass merchandise bundle, including comics, a mini poster, stickers, a mystery shirt, and more. The first 150 pre-orders will also receive either a Clerk's Lunchbox or a Chronic action figure. The merchandise bundle is just $25 plus shipping and handling, and includes your first month of Smodcast access. After that, your credit card will be billed just $4.99 a month for ad-free, high-quality versions of every Smodcast internet radio show. Smodcast, where Smodcast goes say for pay. Sign up at smodcast.com.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Yes. Hello, my friends. It's been a very long time coming, but here we are. My first ever podcast. My name is Jay Mohr, and the next hour or so of your life you will not get back. Hopefully, on your deathbed, you'll think it was a fair trade. Welcome to Mohr Stories. We are coming to you live from Fake Mustache Studios. That's an undisclosed location on the west side. This is very thrilling for me to be hooked up with somebody as great as Kevin Smith, at that Kevin Smith, of course, on Twitter and on the Smodcast label. It's a little like joining Suge Knight on the Row. It's pretty interesting. I put out feelers for everybody to do a podcast, and I got a lot of half-assed responses from people. Kevin Smith and the Smodcast crew were the ones that came out, basically called me in my home and said, what are we going to do? When are we going to do it? Let's get you on number one. Let's chart. Let's do it. And basically when I got off the phone with Kevin Smith, I felt like Kurt Russell had just given me the speech from Miracle. Out of great moments are born great opportunities. That's what you have here today, JJ. That's what you have earned here today. If we put up a podcast 9 times, it might not get listened to 9. I screwed it up already. I guess we'll drop the real one in there so you can see what I'm talking about. If we do a podcast 10 times, they might not listen to it 9. Not tonight. Tonight, we chart with more stories. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about the Joe Rogans and the Mark Marons and the Paul F. Tompkins. Tonight, we skate with them. Tonight, we are the greatest podcast in the United States and the world. You were born to do podcasts. Each and every one of you. I'm getting fired up just doing the speech crappily on my own. Because when I do Kurt Russell doing Herb Brooks, I just sound like a mobster from Chicago. I don't sound anything like that sweet Winnetka, Minnesota coach or wherever he was from. But I'll tell you one thing. You give me 2 years, I'll match that comb over. The way my lettuce is falling out. So thank you to that Kevin Smith on Twitter, at that Kevin Smith. If you want to tweet me ideas, you can hashtag Mohr Stories. That's my last name, Stories. And I'll take them. And this is very exciting. Why do I want to do a podcast? Since this is the first one, I guess we'll just get to it. I want to do a podcast because everyone, as the Cranberries once famously had an album titled, Everyone Else Is Doing It, Why Don't We? George Carlin put it best. He said, for years and years, decades, I've been going about this the wrong way. I've been traveling from town to town and entertaining people 800, 1100 at a time. And I realized if I write a book, or if I do a podcast, you in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, and Austin, Texas, you don't have to leave your house. You don't have to come to a live show. You can just download this when you feel like it, at your leisure. And I got to be honest with you guys. And I'm especially shouting out to the pests and to the clones. You know who you are. So big ups to you guys for pushing me towards this. It is really exciting to think that somebody, I mean, a live show is incredible, but to think that you're on the Long Island Railroad just on your way to work, and instead of music, you're listening to me talk, that's bananas to me. That's a fascinatingly crazy, in a good way, crazy thing. I just drove across country with my wife twice, and we listened to books. We listened to podcasts. We listened to Ron Bennington interviews and Ron and Fez, and we listened to Opie and Anthony. We listened to the Jim Rome Show, all the shows that we love. Like music, nobody listens to music anymore. Music's for squares, man. So the fact that you're listening to this on an elliptical someplace at a Holiday Inn Express in Richmond, Virginia, that blows my mind. And I really wanted to do a podcast because I wanted to reach more people that aren't able to come to stand-up shows. I get a lot of tweets saying, when you coming here, when you coming there? And the answer to most of them is, I'm never going there. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not doing stand-up in Albany, New York. I'm sorry. When you come into Prince Edward Island, if Prince Edward invites me, I'll probably be up on his island. But the fact of the matter is, comics, we have a certain route. We're a lot like mailmen. This is our route. We stick to it. Houston, Dallas, San Francisco, San Jose, Brea, Irvine, Tempe, Arizona, Fort Lauderdale. The usuals. Long Island. Get to work for the legitimate businessmen out in Governors in Long Island. Holy smokes, those guys. Hey, Jay, if you don't mind, I'd like to pay you cash before you go on stage, because I really got to get out of the building as fast as I can. No problem. You got it. So, yeah, this is really me taking control of the internet for myself and for my friends, and I hate to say it because it sounds so ridiculous. Fans, people that are fans of mine. And I've had many problems with the internet that are very well documented. Getting in arguments with celebrities via the internet. But what's more sad than that is getting in arguments with strangers via the internet. And I quit Twitter for about 3 months, and I had my agent change my password. He's also my friend. I know that sounds like so gross, Hollywood. Your agent? Nice. And because I couldn't do it anymore. I was getting in these enormous fights with people. And then one night, and this is true, I had a dream that I died and I went to heaven, and God went through my entire life, and he was very pleased with what I had done and the work I had done and how I acted Christ-like. I had acted like his son, and everything went well, and I have 2 beautiful, healthy baby boys, and I was a good father to them. I set them up to succeed, and I was a good husband, and I was a great son, and I was a good friend, and I led with my heart, and I gave love everywhere. This is all in my dream. It was incredibly vivid. And God said, but I would like to talk to you about 2 years of your life that I'm very disappointed about. And my heart sank in my dream. It was the realest dream I've ever had. And I thought, oh my God, this is how you don't get into heaven. You piss God off with 2 years where you're out robbing banks or something. But I couldn't think of what I'd really done wrong. And God pulled me aside in my dream, and he just had like this hologram, like Star Wars hologram-esque list, a timeline and a list and illustrations of all the arguments I had gotten into on the internet with absolute strangers. And God looked at me, and this is how I know he's mine. He said, what the fuck were you doing? And God, in my dream, just talked to me like my high school baseball coach, Mr. Roma. JJ, what the fuck were you doing? And I realized it had to stop. Something had to change. And that's the double-edged sword of Twitter. You get to get your message out. You get to tell people, hey, I got a podcast coming up. I'm with Smodcast. Kevin Smith took me under his wing. I'm excited about it. I'm hosting the Jim Rome Show. I'm going to be performing at this place. Check my calendar. I'm writing a blog for the Real Housewives of New Jersey. But the negative side of that is people you don't know that are anonymous people, they get to email you directly and say, you fucking suck. You're fat. You're obviously bald. And you read this, and your first response is, I'm not fucking bald. Like, they've already got you. The terrorists have won. You read, nice comb over, and those hair plugs ain't working, dude. And you write back, first of all, I don't have fucking hair plugs. It's all mine. I'd love for you to come pull my hair next time we meet and get in a fist fight. Second of all, if you don't like my weight, I'm 6 feet tall. I'm 199 pounds. I got a little pot. And then as you're typing, you're like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm arguing with Corvette Guy 12. That's who I'm arguing with. Corvette Guy 12. Not to be confused with Corvette Guy 11, who's a huge fan, by the way. Why are you holding your laughs in? I got like people sitting in my garage in fake mustache studios, putting their hands over their mouths. Don't let the listener think we're having a good time. Make sure you hold your laughs in, you creeps. So you write back to these people, I don't have hair plugs. This is all my hair. And that's why you cheat on your wife. And you go, no, I've never cheated. How could you don't know anything about me. And that's why you're a piece of shit. And that's why you're a fat blob. And you write back, I guarantee you weigh more than me. I am a former athlete. I've always been rail thin skinny. I did a ton of movies at 165 pounds. And now I'm like 200 even because I'm married and I'm happy. And my wife bakes. Let me tell you something. Next time you marry a 10 and she brings you banana blueberry muffins in bed, why don't you send her away? See how that works out for you. Honey, wake up. Oh my God, the house smells amazing. It's blueberry banana muffins. Get these fucking things away from me. If you bake one more thing for me, I swear to God, I'm pulling a fucking Jake LaMotta and I'm slapping you in the face. You eat them. And you know why you eat them? Because you've earned it. That's the type of muffin you have earned here tonight. Banana blueberry muffins. If she bakes 10 muffins, maybe you don't eat them 9 times. But when you're married, you eat them. And you know why you eat them? Because they're good, goddammit. Someone loves you so much, they decided to sit over a hot, stupid stove and sweat and burn their thumbs and get blisters just so you could go, ooh, for that split second and smell them and fill the house with good smells. So anyway, big ups to the lovely Nikki Cox Mohr, who's the world's greatest cook. And I got news for you. A lot of you guys think of my wife from the show Las Vegas or that show she did with the puppet. Sure. But what you don't know about her is she's probably, and my guest today, we're coming up on in a second, my manager, Barry Katz, I'll explain why my manager is my first guest, can tell you, probably one in the top 10% of funny people on earth. Would you agree? You could speak, it's a podcast. If you nod, it doesn't really get the desire. You could just say yes.
Yes.
All right. When I do the NHL awards, when I host the Jim Rome show, when I write a book, 30%, 40%, that's my wife's fingerprints all over that stuff. Tremendously funny lady, completely underrated in the funny world, but that's how she wants it, man. She likes to be under the radar. So that's why I'm doing a podcast. I'm taking the internet back with the right people at the right time. Mike Cohen.
We'll get it.
I know. Barry and I know a guy, Mark Cohen, so every time I talk to Cohen, I keep calling him Coco. That's our producer and engineer today is Matt Cohen, sent over by Smodcast. It's like Suge Knight sending over Crooked Eye to keep an eye on your demos. It really is like signing up with the row. It's fascinating. So there you have it. That's why I'm doing a podcast. I want to make you laugh, and I want to entertain you, and I want to do it every week, and I want it to be great. I don't want it to be good or very good. Like my stand-up, I want it to be great. If you listen to me and say that was pretty good, I have failed. I'm going to talk a lot of stories, a lot of showbiz stories. We'll talk sports down the line. We'll talk about the time I gave a kid a blowjob when I was 8 years old. That's a huge story that we could maybe tease, but that'll probably come like in podcast number 3. But that is a true story. And I'll say this, everything I tell you is the truth. I will not lie to you at all. A lot of comics like to get on the mic and do bits about that wacky flight they had on El Al Airlines. No, not me. If it didn't happen to me, I'm not telling it to you. You know what I mean? My guest today is really one of the most influential men in my life that I have ever known. He's known me since I was a 17-year-old stand-up comic. He knew my wife before we met through a mutual friend, so he knew a 16-year-old Nikki Cox. He gave the toast at my wedding. He was my manager for a very long time. I think with that, it's safe to say, maybe one of the most hated men in show business. I think if you're a manager of anybody, unless your name is Bernie Brillstein, if you manage anybody, someone down the line goes, I fucking hate that guy. Now, why is that? This is Barry Katz, our guest.
That is so, so true.
Now, is the reason that is because you have always been and maybe to your